Welcome to Be Verve, an energized program bringing thoughts and information regarding our community's creativity, arts, sciences, education, innovations, and more. I'm your host, Beryl Benbow. Our guest for today is Leah Bender. She is the Director of Ethics for Children. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you. Thanks
So,
for having
Leah, how did you come to bsec, and what does bsec stand for?
bsec stands for the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture. I've been the education director there for the last 3 years. I came to it through a job announcement. It's actually, my previous career, I organized team building events for a big company in New York. And when I had my son, I knew that I wanted to go back to working with children, which is what I did previously to that. And it was actually my son's babysitter that showed me the job announcement. And yeah, I'd never heard of the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture before, or even ethical culture in general.
And is it, what exactly is bsec? What kind of organization is it?
It is a nonprofit, non-denominational religious organization. So that word religion tends to trip people up a little bit, but it's a religious organization in that it's a group of people who come together around a shared set of values and beliefs and regular community rituals.
So,
every Sunday.
as it relates to religion, my idea of religion is Catholicism,
Right.
Judaism, Protestantism, Hindu, Buddhist. So, where does bsec fall within that realm?
Well, ethical culture, there's no mystical element to the religion. So there's no God or anything that is worshipped in particular. I think that all religions share some similarities. There's a coming together of a community. There's a set of shared values. There are certain rituals that are performed every week. So in ethical culture, there's no book. There's no set. You have to believe in this, or this. There are really just two main points. One is the belief in the inherent worth of every human being, and the other one is the catchphrase is "deed before creed," which essentially is. If you believe in something, then show it with your actions. If you see something that you think is wrong in the world, then stand up and take action to make it right. If you see something that's right, get behind it.
Okay, so you had said that you do have some types of rituals within your base. What would some of those be?
Well, when the adults gather every week, there is a structure to it. They call it the platform, and there are different speakers each week. But there's always a structure to the morning, and that includes a lighting of candles, what they call a mourner's moment, so a moment to recognize some of the people that have passed on. I think there's a moment where people can share their achievements. So it's really, there's a structure in which, in a gathering moment where people can get to know each other for a minute. So it's really a structure in which community is created, as far as I understand it. I'm actually not usually there for the adult portion because I run the children's portion, which happens at the same time.
All right.
Yeah.
So what is the importance of ethics for children?
I think it's really great in a big city like this where kids are moving from activity to activity and school to school year after year for there to be a place where they feel like they're growing up as part of a community. And a lot of times people look to a church or a religious institution for that community. This is a place for people who maybe don't feel that a synagogue or a church or something like that is right for them, but they still want to be able to gather with people of shared values. And so for kids to be able to return to that year after year and to have people that really know them as they're growing up and are watching them grow and evolve and are supporting them. I think that's a really beautiful thing for them.
Do you have a coming of age ceremony for the children?
We
Somewhat
do.
like they have confirmation
Right.
in Catholicism and bar mitzvah,
Right.
or bar mitzvah. I forgot what it is for a girl, but
Bat mitzvah.
bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
But it's bar mitzvah, I think, something like that.
Bot for the girl and bar
Yes,
for the boy. Yeah.
uh-huh. So with that in mind, do you have something like that within bsec?
We do, and that's actually the group that I lead on Sundays. So it's a small group this year, and if let's say you're getting bar mitzvahed, then I think, as far as I understand it, you're memorizing part of the Torah, and you're learning about the basic values of the religion.
Right. As in confirmation, since I'm Catholic,
Okay.
I could speak on that. Confirmation is when a 13-year-old boy or girl confirms that they are a Christian and will follow the tenets of Christianity and Jesus Christ as their Savior.
Okay. So this is a group of free thinkers, and so there would never be any part of ethical culture that says now you must agree to believe in a certain thing or to even join the organization. At the end of the coming of age year, the students who complete the coming of age year are invited to become members, but there would never be a point where anybody would say you have to do that. That's sort of the point.
No, that's the whole point
Right.
of confirmation.
Right.
You,
Right.
as you becoming an adult,
Right.
you are saying that you want to become a part of this.
Right.
Not that
Right.
you're being
Okay.
asked to.
Okay, got it, yeah. So I think that's part of it. I don't think that is maybe the largest component of it. I think it's more about thinking about, okay, you're 13, you're getting older, you're going to be an adult soon. What are your responsibilities as a human on this planet at this time? And what are your responsibilities to yourself, to your community, to your planet, and just helping them to really think through that and to think through questions like, what does it mean to have a meaningful life? What does it mean to be a morally ethical, responsible person? What does it mean to teaching them to ask the right kinds of questions, I guess.
Is there a ceremony that goes along with that with the community? What is that like?
It's like a graduation ceremony. It's like a celebration. It's completely different for each coming of age group. It often involves the students coming before the entire community and speaking about the topics that were most meaningful to them, or about a social action project that they did. So it will be different each year.
Very nice. If you don't have a Bible for reference and a structure, what actually do you do?
Okay. Great question. So we don't have any sort of really main reference book or anything like that. What we do have, which we developed ourselves, and for this specific society in Brooklyn, is a set of core values, I guess is one way to put it, that we want to instill in the kids.
What are some of those?
Okay. One would be environmental awareness and just our interaction with our natural world and how can we be responsible humans. Also social and economic justice, racial justice, mindfulness, being self-awareness, exploration of all religions and various philosophies, and taking understanding perspectives of others and being able to be in discussion around that. Social emotional skills, learning how to be with other people, how to be human.
I studied theosophy as my way of trying to come to terms with my religious ideas, etc., because I think it's very important to learn about the religious culture of other groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
I agree.
every religion has something to offer as a positive entity.
Right.
With that in mind, if there is no reference to God-given commandments,
Right.
which is for me a very big tenet, because the Ten Commandments is basically in several religions or some parts of it.
Okay.
What reference do you use in lieu of Ten Commandments?
I would go back to just, it's really, it can be distilled down to those two main points, that the belief in the inherent worth of every human being and the idea of being a responsible person and taking action to support the good of the planet and of our fellow humans on the planet.
Well, like, let's say one of them might be thou shalt not kill.
Okay, so that would fall into that.
Okay.
Right?
Thou shalt not steal.
Again, right? I mean, these are all
Honor thy mother and thy father.
exactly.
Okay.
That's about respecting other people.
All right. Right.
So it sounds almost ridiculously simple, but it really is, I think, that simple. Just think about your actions and think about and respect our people on our planet.
So now, you had stated, especially in reference to the coming of age, them having some types of service projects, etc. What might be some of the service projects that they are involved with?
Well, we've done a lot over the years. This particular coming of age group that I'm working with right now did a big project last year where we looked at our building and the sustainability of our building. So
and your building is the old Bonami building. Is
that's
that
right.
so?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a fairly well-known, it's a historical landmark. It's a place a lot of people know. It's a place a lot of people get married. People have their funerals there. There are schools that run out of the building. It's a very high-use building. Every day, something different is happening there. And so last year, our kids looked at the building itself and the environmental practices of the building and how we could maybe help to make this building that gets a lot of use and generates a lot of trash to be more sustainable. So our kids implemented, well, first we did a lot of research into how New York City handles its trash and its recycling, and now even its compost. And we took a hard look at that and just in general about humans creating waste. And then we looked specifically at our building and we came up with some initiatives that we brought to the adults in the building to get recycling on each floor, to get a working compost going, to get municipal compost pickup from the city. And it was actually very successful. We had a lot of support from the adults, and now both the society and our tenants are using these practices. A lot more things are getting recycled. We even started a battery recycling. Just looking at every aspect of how we generate waste and how we can now generate less.
Mm-hmm. All right, Leah, we talked about a lot with the program that you work with within bsec. How do you approach spirituality with the young people?
It really goes back to respecting other people and our planet. As I said, there's no mystical element to ethical culture. It's really about the life that we're in right now and how can we use our lives for the best of ourselves and the planet.
Do you use a syllabus based on their age?
Yeah.
So give me an example of maybe something that you would do with maybe a 7-year-old. 7-year-olds are dear to me because that's the in-between age of my 2 grandchildren.
Okay. It's interesting that you bring up 7 because that's sort of an age where kids are. It's an in-between age in a way. They're not quite little kids anymore, but they're not quite big kids either.
But they know the difference between right and wrong at that age.
They do. So for 7, there would be a mix between hands-on activities
Such as?
Okay. Let me take a moment to think for a second, because this is not the age that I teach.
This wasn't a trick question.
I know. It's interesting because we changed the age groups this year, and our 7s is the one. Okay, so last year, I can speak more about what this group did last year. So last year, the 7-year-olds, they talked about friendship. What does it mean to be a friend? Can an animal be a friend? Can an object be a friend? And questions like that around friendship. Would you ever lie to a friend? Is there ever a time when it would be appropriate to lie? So moral questions like that would come up a lot, and projects around just learning about other cultures through cooking, for example. One of our teachers, Simba Yangala, who's really wonderful. She's Congolese, so she did a whole portion on teaching the kids Congolese cooking and learning about the different culture in other ways. And then they also use that as a platform for exploring the kids' relationship to food and trying new foods and things like that.
Do you discuss maybe the political entity of what has happened in the Congo with them? And if you do, at what age?
Yeah, so Simba, our teacher, is a refugee from the civil war there. That would not be really something that we would talk about with that age. As the kids get older, we do talk about humanitarian crises around the world and explore them in various ways. I can give an example of kids who are from a little bit of an older group. This was when I was teaching the 10 to 12-year-olds. I have a cousin who was living in Palestine for several years, and we were able to have one class where we did a Skype call with a 12-year-old boy that she works with over there, and the kids were able to talk to him and ask him questions directly about
Was he a Palestinian child?
He's Palestinian,
okay.
Yeah. And his house is literally right behind his house. There's a wall, and on the other side of that wall, it's Israel. And he was talking about, he talked about the bombings, he talked about how just some of the restrictions that they're under in terms of with so many lines drawn all over the place, how it can even be tricky to get around. So that was a really great cultural, and then they also talked about, I can't remember if it was Pokemon cards or some sort of a card game, just kid stuff too.
Yeah,
and just,
my grandchildren are into Pokemon cards, yes.
Yeah, might not have been Pokemon, but point being just being able to even have a conversation like that. It can bridge a lot of barriers.
So just getting back to, because you only meet once a week.
We only meet once a week, yeah.
Okay, and there's no meetings during the week.
No, that would be pretty much impossible with the kids' schedules, yeah.
But the adults meet during the week?
No, the adults meet once a week as well at the same time as the kids, and then there are certain committees that meet at other times in the evenings,
right.
but everybody comes together as a community on Sundays.
Okay, and the children are separated from the adults?
For most of the time, yeah.
Okay.
So we have, it's like what I imagine, I've never been to a Sunday school, but what I imagine a traditional Sunday school would be where the parents attend the congregation, which we call a platform, and then the kids go off to the Ethics for Children program that I run, which is in a building next door.
Then do you sit down and have a meal or anything together?
We do. They call it Munch for the Bunch.
Okay.
And it's at 12:30 at the end of the program, so everybody, it's a potluck basically, and everybody comes together. And,
so how long is a regular service?
It's an hour and a half, from 11 to 12:30.
Sounds like Catholic church is like an hour, so
I think
it's doable.
It's got a church setup, but it's not church.
What is your typical Sunday? Bring me through your typical Sunday.
Okay.
From the time the children get there.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So kids can arrive a little bit before we get started, and we have access to the wonderful facilities at Poly Prep Elementary School because we used to own that building. The Ethical Society used to own that building. So we meet on their playground. The kids play. They play basketball. It's sort of a free play, hanging out kind of a time. And then at 11, we split into our age groups for our various classes and go off to the various classrooms. And that's from 11 to 12:30. And then at the end, it's free play again. more basketball ensues. The kids then are walked into the other building where they can join the adults and share some food, and everyone gathers as a community.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was given a list of some of the projects
Okay.
that you've done at bsec. And if you could just talk a little bit maybe on each one.
Okay.
They are gun polling, social action around the evictions, project to make the building more sustainable. I think we touched upon
We did that one, yeah.
And music for social action.
Okay. Well, the music for social action is something that we are starting this week, actually. So we have a member of our community who's just has an incredible voice, and she is. She's very, very moving when she sings. So she's going to be coming to visit the kids once a month to teach them about music as a tool for social change and activism. And I think that was a really big part for people who grew up in the 60s, which I didn't, but my parents' generation, I think music was a big part of protest and social action. And where are we at now with that? And we're going to be exploring that with the kids.
That sounds very interesting.
I think it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to really be an exchange between. And she has songs, from from slave songs and the civil rights movement, and so much, that the kids, of course, were not alive for. And then the kids are going to bring their own music that they're going to teach her.
What is her name?
Her name is Dupre.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what about this gun polling?
Okay, so this is a project we did, I think, 2 years ago. Well, there are always a lot of, unfortunately, school shootings are often in the news, but this was at a time when there were just a lot of school shootings at the time, and this is very disturbing to any parent and any child who hears about it. And so it's something that came up because of what was happening in the world, and we decided, let's address this head on with the kids. So this was the 10 to 12-year-old group.
And how did it go?
Well, the kids, we spent a couple of weeks on it and discussing the issue, looking at how other countries have handled gun violence and gun control, looking at Australia as a model where they had a terrible situation with guns, and then they just eliminated their guns became illegal, and people turned their guns in, and it really turned around the situation. So we looked at that. And then the kids came up with a series of questions that they wanted to go and ask people in their neighborhood of their feelings about gun control and just see what they said. Now, we're in Park Slope, so it's a fairly liberal voting area, but the kids spanned the area and interviewed neighbors and got a variety of different opinions on how people felt about, just in general, how they felt about gun ownership. Should civilians be allowed to own guns? Should anybody be allowed to own guns? And what was kind of cool is we ended up accidentally interviewing a journalist who just happened to be walking around the neighborhood, and he became part of our project as well, and actually did a story about the kids and entered into our discussion on that topic. So that was
Is there anywhere online that people could check this out if they wanted to?
Our website?
Yeah.
bsec.org. So we're
Okay,
Brooklyn
that's
Society
easy.
for Ethical Culture.
All right. So, Leah, just going back a little bit to our discussion of bsec and the religious context of the group.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could really call it religious. It's more spiritual, I think. But it also had a little bit of a note, and I'd like just to have this answered because it may be a question in a lot of our viewers' minds.
Okay. Yeah.
It did sound a little cultish. So if you could just address that
Sure.
entity.
Absolutely. And I can see from an outside perspective the use of the word society, or calling it a religion, but it's not a religion most people have heard of. It does sound a little cultish. The reality is it's the exact opposite of a cult, because a cult would be a group that's saying you need to follow this leader and follow these certain.
So do you have a leader?
We do have a leader.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, we do have a leader. But there's the leader have followers. There's
What is your leader called? I mean,
she is called the leader.
Oh, the leader.
I mean, of this particular local society. Each society has a leader. I think any group needs some sort of a person at the helm for an organization to run. So
because like of a church, they call them pastor.
Okay, well, you would probably it's an equivalent. So no, we have an interim part-time leader. So she's also the leader of another society in Riverdale. So she's there half of the time. So when we have the platform, she'll lead half of the platforms in a month, and the other half will be, there's a committee that decides on the content, on who we're going to invite to be guest speakers, and so the other half will be guest speakers from a variety of like-minded organizations, like environmental organizations, economic justice organizations like the New Economy Project. We sometimes have our authors, poets, documentarians, there's politicians, there's a lot of different people who come and speak, lawyers. Yeah.
Do you have anything with the arts, like painters?
Yeah, I mean, the membership is really, really diverse. So we have journalists who are members of the organization. We have people who work in the theater, directors, playwrights, painters, musicians. So the makeup of the membership, there are a lot of people come from the arts.
But with that, do you have performances? Do you have art shows?
Okay. Well, do you mean at the space or on Sundays?
On Sundays at the space, at any other time?
Well, the space is really used for a lot of different purposes. I believe there's a monthly music festival that they have where they bring in different, mostly folk musicians who come and perform in the space. It's not really a gallery space, but you could do an art event there. I mean, it's a space that you could do almost anything in. It's a beautiful space.
Right, but does bsec have those types of?
We do. We've done some film screenings. We might invite, if it was, for example, there's a theater piece we may bring in for the kids about pollinators, butterflies and bees. That's that's in line with what we're teaching on environmental awareness and protecting the planet. So if it's something related in the arts, then it would definitely be something that would be considered to be part of a platform.
Well, is there anything that I didn't touch upon that you might like to speak about?
I kind of want to go back to when you bring up cult, because I think that's an important thing to talk about.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture and all ethical societies, of which by the way, I'm not a member. I'm staff, so I feel like I can speak with some objectivity on this. Are a group of free thinkers who really just are just exploring what it means to be human and trying to be the best humans that they can be. And I have to say, as I said, even though I'm not a member, how can you not get behind that? Nobody will ever tell you not to believe something or to believe something unless your belief is that people suck, basically, or that we don't have a responsibility to take care of ourselves and our earth. But outside of that, there is no fixed set of beliefs, and the leader's role is to represent the community. So it's really not a cult by any means.
Is the leader voted in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything is done. Everything is done almost to a fault in a very democratic way, where everybody gets a chance to have a say, which means some things happen very slowly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been very interesting talking to you today about bsec, especially the children.
Thank you.
Would you just please give us your website,
Sure.
a way that people can find out more information about this organization?
Sure. Website is easy, www.bsec.org. That's bsec.org.
Thank you for tuning in to BVerve, an edutainment program. BVerve is aired the third Monday of every month at 10:30 p.m. Thank you again, and hope to see you soon.
It's what rap became, man. It's what rap is, man.